interested. You want to stand on the right side, Will, or the right side? You want me to take this hat off? I think it's cold.
We're ready? Okay. Good morning. My name is Will Hickman, currently serving on the State Board of Education District 6. But I'm also here as a parent of 3 kids in Spring Branch ISD, and most importantly as an SBISD taxpayer and a voter. My comments this morning will be brief, but I'm happy to stay after for any questions. So why am I here? I want the SBISD trustees to proceed with the May school board election that has already begun and fight any attempts to delay. Ms. Elizondo lost an SBISD election in May 2021, and she sued SBISD. Her claim is that the at-large system is illegal and she would like single-member districts. In State Board of Education Member District 6, I represent about 2 million people, including SBISD and a number of other ISDs. I was given 1 minute to testify before the SBISD board about this issue, and I invited calls from the board members if they would like more information. Unfortunately, I didn't receive any. My friend Kelly Frells is at Bracewell and is the Dean of Texas Education Law. He literally wrote the book on Texas education, and he has an entire chapter in his book on single-member districts, which will not lead to better student outcomes for SBISD students. Ms. Elizondo requested an injunction in her lawsuit to delay the SBISD May 2022 elections until November 2022. That election is already underway. We have had 9 candidates filed. Several are here, and they're already campaigning. SBISD and the trustees responded to that injunction request that they are not opposed to the delay. Well, I am opposed. I would like to vote for the trustees as scheduled this May, and I would like SBISD and the trustees to oppose any delay in the injunction. I served on Bel Air City Council for 6 years, and we had a saying there that you can't bind a future council. So any elected board can do anything they want, and then the board after you can undo everything you just did and head in a different direction. All elected officials have to stand before the voters on the ballot. I'm on the ballot now. In our democracy, the voters can hire me again if they like the job I'm doing, or they can fire me and put in someone else. Our democratic system breaks down if you don't stand before the voters and if you postpone this election. SBISD's response to the injunction is that we're too important to replace now, and you don't want to change horses midstream. If the voters agree with you, the direction you're taking and the job you're doing, you can stay on and continue your work and everything else on your agendas. This is a terrible precedent to set, that what I'm working on is so important that I need to delay the election so that I won't be replaced. Puedo decir otra vez en español si quieren. I think I'll pass on now to my friend Burt Keller, representing Commissioner Tom Ramsey.
I'm Burt Keller. I handle special projects for Commissioner Tom Ramsey. Parents for in-person teaching is passionate with Commissioner Ramsey. I'm going to be brief. He's not happy about this. And we think it's an infection that's coming from Washington or from Trudeau in Canada, but we're glad that y'all exist. He's been with y'all since day one and will be with you, and he's going to show it by supporting the candidates that take on any trustees that are not here, that are not visibly, publicly opposing the delay of this election. That's un-American. And I'm shocked that I'm not turned around right now and seeing my school board representatives, his school board representatives, your school board representatives standing here ready to fight for you. We are excited that Commissioner Cagle is now on our team and we don't fight it alone. And he's got a great legal mind, and I'm going to hand it to Commissioner Jack Cagle, Cactus Jack, who's going to actually have more of the territory of SBISD than we will currently have in Precinct 3. Thank you very much for your passion. We support you 100% on behalf of Tom Ramsey.
Justice delayed is justice denied. And one of the cornerstones of our just society is we elect our representatives. And yet we see this erosion of people deciding that they know better than the public. We saw it in the commissioners. The reason why I am standing here today is because I was the commissioner of another precinct way up north. But some folks thought that they were going to deny the people up north of Harris County their right to vote. Tom Ramsey is going to sit in office for 3 years without the people having the opportunity to cast a vote for him. He's doing a great job, but it's still wrong. The people of this area elected Tom Ramsey, and I am their representative for this year and hopefully for 20 years to come. People were denied the right to vote for their commissioner. And the action that we see going on today, to where there's a group of folks who think that they know better what's right for the public than what the public needs to know with regard to their vote, is a perpetuation of that fraud against our justice and just system. Being able to vote when you're supposed to vote is a fundamental, important thing that we need to hold dear and to fight for. Keeping people in office, they may be wonderful. I'm not saying they are, but they may be wonderful. But staying in office for an extra 6 months, unelected, is un-American and should stop. Did I mention justice delayed is justice denied? Thank you.
Quick question. So, if the elections were delayed, what kind of impact would that have, and what kind of cost would that come to the school district? Anyone can answer that.
Well, you'll have folks that will be serving in office during a term to which they were not elected. There will be decisions, could be good decisions, could be bad decisions, but there'll be decisions that will be made and decided without the input of the public. The public has a right to elect their school board members. This action of delaying an election by not 6 months, 7 months, in essence causes folks to continue to insert, well, let's go ahead and postpone it another 6 months after that. Let's not go ahead and do like Napoleon did and declare emperor for life. At some point, people have a right to participate in their democracy. And delaying this election, yes, it's a political tactic that's going to give somebody an advantage. The decisions that may be made over the next 6 months while these folks are in office may be good or may be bad, but they are not reflective of the will of the public, who are the ones who have the right to have a say in the election. That's the impact. 6 months of an unrepresented democracy. And if you go 6 months, why not another 6 months? Why not a year? Why not just eliminate elections altogether? We'll decide all of your fate for the rest of the school board's tenure.
What Commissioner Ramsey feels, and we talked about this not last night, he's traveling today, the night before, is if they can do this by just filing a civil lawsuit, what's going to stop everybody else from doing this in the future when they want something? Isn't this, what he pointed out, a victory in some sorts to a battle of a war? So by delaying this, we give it credence to happen again, and we give it more merit than it should. Because in the court, it should just be neutral. Whether it's going to be thumbs up or thumbs down, it should stand on its own. But the fact that it is intimidating a physical result called a delay is disastrous, and the cost also probably goes to how much will it hurt SBISD if we do become single member. Isn't this almost an implied lean towards that possibly taking back? So that's why we want the trustees to stand firm right now and not allow that to happen on your behalf.
And just a quick follow-up, since you did mention it, why not have single district single district or single district elections. So tell me, just explain about that.
Sure. First of all, if it isn't broken, it doesn't need fixing. What we feel is SBISD is the best school district in the state, and the state is the best state in the nation. So possibly the best school district in the nation. What's worked so long for SBISD is at large. I have talked to Commissioner Ramsey, and he feels the same way. Why are we supposed to be penalized because we vote? What we could be doing is saying, let's have more poll locations in other parts of the district if you would like for early voting. But currently on election day, there are more locations on that. So here's the thing. SBISD is a tight community like this. If it were expansive like HISD, which goes 30 miles that way and 30 miles that way, which is 64 miles, is what that is, then maybe it is warranted to have the need for single member, because they're going from the Ship Channel all the way to Katy. We're right here. We're a close community, and it's worked well.
So what's next? What is that hoping to get out of this?
Well, let me first start off on some of the previous questions so I can actually add to those answers. My name is Greg Travis, former Houston City Councilman, and one of the things that was nice about having these elections in May is the certainty of having the elections. This throws it into an uncertainty, which makes it sort of a denial of voting rights. You're trying to now have this in November, and there's a lot going on in November. And I think that people want to be able to focus on these elections because they're very important. The school board elections, to me, are some of the most important elections there are. And I think we're seeing that around the country. And as for single member districts versus multi-member districts, Councilman Tuck here was from District A, I was from District G. And while I did appreciate representing my district, I will say that you focus solely on your district. And while that's a good thing, it's also a bad thing, because you also know that district doesn't stand by itself. It's in conjunction with all the other districts, and you need to be focused on the entirety of it. So I've always been, and I think most people around here are, in favor of the larger at-large election. And so, you know, I think those are important points to make. And where do we go from here? Well, that's going to be up to the people here as to what they see. I think we fight it in court. I think we try to undo it. I think we try to make sure that the voices are heard and that you have the election in May, because that's when this election has traditionally been. People are counting on that, and anything short of that is going to be a denial of voting rights. Thank you.
I don't want to repeat too much what's been said. My name is Mono de Ayala. I'm also a candidate for House District 133. You know, to postpone an election, the sanctity of an election, you have to have a very, very good reason to do that. Redistricting is one. They postpone primaries to do redistricting and those sorts of things. This reason is not a good reason. This election and the sanctity of this election is important, and I think it sends a message to our whole community to make sure that when we have elections scheduled and we have candidates that have already entered into the race, the campaign has begun. And when the campaign has begun, we need to see it through. And that's the message I think we'd like to send to everyone in our community, is that the sanctity of this election and the reason to postpone it, in my opinion, is not a good enough reason to postpone it. And I think it sends a bad message to the public. As for single member districts, again, SBISD, although not perfect, has performed well compared to a lot of other districts. We've done a very good job, and we've done it well with general districts, with no single member districts. There is no reliable evidence that's going to suggest that a single member district is going to improve outcomes in our districts. And for that reason, I think we're opposed to that as well. Thank you.
Just make one point about your question. The reason that they're talking about delaying is because we're in the middle of a lawsuit. So we delay from May until November. But Commissioner Cagle made a great point. That'll just need another delay when the lawsuit's not finished up and we keep rolling and rolling, and we, the voters, never get a chance to pick our trustees. Also spoke last week with Senator Paul Betancourt, and he agrees that delay is not appropriate here. We need to proceed with the May elections. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Alpe. I'm one of the candidates for the Spring Branch Board of Trustees race. I filed on February 1st in the time we get to file. And I'd just like to say about single member districts, all of the research shows that at-large districts are the highest performing districts in Texas. The research also shows that single member districts generally are the lowest performing districts in our state. And the most important thing is student outcomes and performance. We want our students to get a top-notch education, and we have all of the information that we need to know that at-large districts are the best for every child in our district. So that's why we are here. And I'd just also like to say that it's the ultimate irony that a lawsuit filed alleging voter disenfranchisement is now disenfranchising female candidates, a Hispanic candidate, and now voters are not getting their right to vote for the current candidates. Thank you.
Sorry. No disrespect, man. John Perez, running for position 6. I want to address the question on price, right? So in business, we have this intangible price called goodwill. Can't really put a number to it sometimes, right? But let me make it personal. What's the price of your integrity, your word, your conviction, right? Every voter, every candidate, everyone standing up here, we're putting it on the line, we're voicing our values. There's a price to that. By putting off the election, by denying our right to run, right? And one of the merits of the case in front of us is a Hispanic can't win in an at-large district. I'm a very electable candidate, right? I have a good chance of winning. Let us run, let us vote, use that as your referendum. But there's a price to not doing that. Your integrity, your word, and your conviction.
Hi, my name is Liz Franklin. I'm here on behalf of my husband, Will Franklin. I just have a prepared statement from him that echoes everyone else's sentiments. In this country, each individual has the privilege of voicing their opinion at the ballot box. And voters in this community did just that in the last election. They elected their candidates with confidence and understanding that they would serve out their terms just like any other office holder in this great state. Nowhere does it say that one can just hijack their term and change the rules along the way to suit their own agenda. Will believes no court has ruled the elections illegal. There's no basis to delay the elections. If the courts agree with the complainant and something needs to change, well, that will occur at another time and will be applied to future elections. Elected officials should not be unilaterally extending their terms. That is the right of the people, and the people are smart enough to decide if they should change their representation. Will and I and all of us look forward to the May 7th school board election taking place as scheduled. Thank you.